any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Well, guys, it is finally over. It is finally over. Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And, Baker Mayfield having a good game, and Tampa fans are happy. Okay. This is, to be realistic with you guys, this is just a continuation of what the Eagles have been doing the last 6 weeks. I have been the most realistic on what the Eagles have been doing the last 6 weeks. Between all of the rants, all of the pissed off videos, and trying to think that the more I say things, the more things will change. And the things have gotten worse and worse and worse. Okay? Before the game even started the other day, okay, the other night, whenever you're watching this video, Jay Glazer put out a report that Nick Sirianni was not going to be fired, even if the Eagles lose this game. This game showed me, as well as the last 6 weeks, that Sirianni has lost the locker room. Sirianni is not listening to the players, and the players are not buying into what Sirianni is putting on the table. I think a lot of players have given up. I think A.J. Brown and his antics and what happened, not talking to the media for a couple weeks, even not even showing up to the game on game day, really shows where this roster is. I don't see a head coach that takes a player council or leaders of the group that come up to the coach and say, hey, this is what we have to change. Because to be honest with you, the first 2 series from the offense really showed where they were at going into this game. And really this week for me has been, the Eagles have a playoff game, and let's just see what happens. I'll support them. I'll root for them. And, I don't think they're going to win, but I will support them. And there was people been fighting with me the last 6 weeks about how I'm not on the wagon. I'm not a real Eagle fan. And all I want to do is say negative shit. And if I want to just say negative shit all the time, it means I don't care about this team. It means that, look, at the end of the day, if I'm talking crap about the team, I know they could play better. And you had 2 series in the beginning from the offense that were 3rd and 2. You started off running with DeAndre Swift a couple times, and then you get to a 3rd and 2, and then you take Swift out, you put Gainwell in, Hertz audibles from a run to a pass, and goes absolutely nowhere. Throws a deep ball downfield. I don't know why they love the kill shots going downfield. That's just, I don't know. That's just how Jaylen Herz is coached, I guess. Then the next offensive series, they got into another 3rd and 2 situation. Hertz throws to Dallas Goedert on the left side. Very close, tight coverage. Dallas Goedert, I guess, drops it, somewhat hits his hands. On the right side of the field during that play, you had Julio Jones and, Zacchaeus open on the right side. I can go through this whole game, but guys, it's just a waste of time, okay? There was only a couple bright spots to this game. Really, I think only one bright spot to this game. Other than the players that didn't get enough opportunity, which it's not their fault, but Devontae Smith is who he is. Devontae Smith is the number 1 wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the 2. Eagle fans need to be grateful for that. This is a Heisman Trophy level type wide receiver that has the mentality of just being the best he could be. And he was really one of the only players that, even after the touchdown that he had, or at least from what I can see from when he caught that ball inside the 5, and then another drive where he caught 2 big passes, which still led to a fucking field goal. Hype the team up on the sideline, kind of wake them up and say, hey, we're in a playoff game right now. Fletcher Cox, another player that, had a little bit of a tizzy, little bit of a fight on the field and showed a lot of heart and, kind of just didn't give a shit, and in a good way. and like kind of just been like was just being himself and being like fighting back a little bit. And that's what I kind of wanted. But guys, to this point, I'm glad it's over. I'm glad I didn't have. I mean, I'm already sorry for myself and anybody else that had to watch that game through and through. Okay, um, DeAndre Swift had 9 carries in this game. I mean, at this point, it's the same recycled, regurgitated bullshit that we have been dealing with every single week, and it's getting tiring. This team should not been in the playoffs. This is the biggest crumble I've ever seen from an Eagles roster, from 10-1 to be 2 games up in the conference. 2 games up in the conference. You had the #1 seed choke that away. Second seed choke that away. The division choked that away. Wasted roster spots. Okay. Injuries are injuries. Everybody deals with it. And the Eagles defensively, I have to say, is one of the worst units I have ever seen. Surprised we had 3 sacks on Baker Mayfield. You still had Hassan Reddick in coverage. Your linebackers, nobody could tackle. James Bradbury, get the fuck off my roster. Darius Slay smiling during the game, and then these little things that he is doing. Then he gets a big injury. He gets carted off the field. It's just a never-ending recycled Nick Sirianni on the sideline making. Nick Sirianni looks like a guy that's going to be fired this week. Okay? I saw the things he said in the press conference tonight, which we'll go over more in depth tomorrow. But for me right now, I mean, Jeffrey Lurie looked like he wanted to fucking go down and kick Nick Sirianni in the fucking nuts at this point. Howie Roseman didn't look pleased either. Jeffrey Lurie looked the worst in the press box. Horrible at Nick. I don't get how you don't make changes for this amount of time. You look like the worst team in the league, and they deserve to be by the way they are being coached. A lot of Eagle fans in the chat last night were putting a lot of blame on Jaylen Herz. Jaylen Herz did not look good. Jaylen Herz didn't have a great year. Wasn't a good year. Before people start going to Jaylen Herz and are talking about him and saying they got to get rid of him, they got to trade him, they got to, we got to be done with Jaylen Herz. People need to realize that we have to look from the outside going in. You can't just go through the coaching staff, look at Jaylen Herz, and then, yes, he's missed wide open guys. He just doesn't, he is told what to do in this offense, and he makes the decisions, okay, during these games. And where he's Hertz throws the ball. He has the ball in his hands. He controls the whole situation, whether he makes it work or it's a total failure. These route combinations are taking so long. How many times in this game during the Tampa Bay Bucs playoff game where I saw 2 wide receivers that are literally right next to each other running the same exact route? I saw 2 guys running a comeback route at the same time. I mean, it's just to a point now where Todd Bowles is going to blitz you every third down, which every team has been doing to us. Every third down, that's what they've been doing to us. And the Eagles have 5. And, they'll rush 6, and the Eagles cannot stop it. The Eagles have not, in weeks, cannot stop a cover 0 blitz or a big blitz in general. Okay? And there was constant pressure on Jaylen Herz. The protection wasn't good a lot of times. But because some of these handoffs are taking so long, like not even an aggressive quick handoff. I'm talking a slow handoff that takes so long. By the time the exchange even happens, the defense is right there. When Jaylen Herz, senses pressure and has 0.2 seconds to escape the pocket, rolls out to his right, rolls out to his left. These receivers are still running their routes. I mean, Devontae Smith was the only receiver that was really doing anything today. Okay, Julio Jones had a 3rd down. I mean, I don't think the Eagles had a 3rd down completion till the 4th quarter. I mean, it was bad. I mean, it was as bad as it can get, and it really shows that the players have given up. The players do not believe what the coaching staff is doing, and the coaches have ignored what the players have been wanting. You can't keep your players happy This is the type of gameplay you're going to get, and this is the attitude that you're going to get. And the nucleus of this culture has been damaged, and it has been for weeks because we have had this playoff game because the Eagles made the playoffs. Okay, earlier in the season. Okay, it was a little slice of false hope to kind of keep everybody together for this amount of weeks. Okay, that there was still somewhat of a chance. And it really showed today that nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. And I don't think Nick Sirianni survives this. I don't know why these reports came out before the game that Nick's not going to get fired for some odd reason. I don't know why. Um, and then this happens today, and I say to myself, there's no way that he survives, being he can't reclaim this roster. This roster will not believe him. And let me tell you, free agents will not come back to this team to deal with this type of bullshit. The news will come out what is going on with this team and this roster. But to solely put it on Jaylen Herz 100%, it's fucking retarded. It's really stupid. It's just to a point now where you have to clean house with the coaching staff. You have a good offensive roster going into next year. You have a defensive roster, which, you have to change your philosophy and how you draft certain positions because you can't ignore linebacker anymore. And you can't ignore safety. And you have to put more draft compensation into these positions. I can't even talk about this game because it's a continuance of what's been going on the last 6 weeks. There's nothing different that happened in this game. Okay. I would say the defense in the second half really did. They made a couple really good stops. Stopped Baker Mayfield on the 40, 45, 50-yard line, couple sacks, Milton Williams. I mean, there were some good pressures there. Made some good stops. And yes, of course, Tampa Bay dropped some easy balls. And Baker Mayfield had a few throws that weren't good in this game at all. But when it comes down to it, this defense is not cutting it. And when the Eagles defensively made stops in the second half, it sucks because Tampa Bay was punting from half the field, and we literally had to take the ball inside the 10 a couple times, equaling one drive with a PI call that helped us and really only got 6 yards out of that drive. And then another drive where, of course, Gainwell gets most of the snaps. They give the ball to him. He kind of moves backwards and sets up the Eagles for a really bad third down at that point. And Jaylen Herz gets tackled in the end zone for a safety. And I think that I wanted to go into this Tampa Bay playoff game and say, well, if Tampa Bay scores on the Eagles, I want to see how the offense kind of reacts, how they kind of, give a little payback, see how they react to things like that. Because what's been going on with the Eagles the last 6 weeks, I mean, the more bad things that happen to the Eagles and teams score on you or turnovers, I feel like the players just give up. They go through the motions and they just want nothing to do with what's going on. I think that's one of the biggest problems. I think that the locker room is 100% lost. Jeffrey Lurie is going to have to take more control of this team, unfortunately. And it's not really unfortunate because I don't think he's really been involved this year. But there is something going on, and it is definitely holding these players back. There is no coach that is going to push Jaylen Herz to his limits and needs to put him in a better situation because no quarterback is surviving a situation like this. Hertz has had a regressing year. I 100% agree. Missing wide open guys, not patient in the pocket enough. And when teams are giving the blueprint on how to beat the Eagles, which is, oh, well, you know what? Since they have 5 linemen, we're going to rush 6 guys, and they can't stop it. And the Eagles have never adjusted for weeks. They haven't since the beginning of the season. Okay. The players that I feel bad for are the veterans, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. Those are the guys I really feel bad for. Jason Kelsey. These are the guys that are going to have to go out like this. in the worst way possible. This is the last game they're going to remember, and it's an embarrassment at this point. The we need to figure out why things are happening the way they are before we start blaming it 100% on the quarterback, because everyone's aiming for Jalen Hurts' head at this point. We have to attack this problem from the outside, and we have to make changes from the outside. Jalen Hurts is really one of the last things I'm worried about, but it's definitely something we have to look at later on. But you can't just get rid of a quarterback and then you can't look past the coaches to the quarterback. You have to look at the coaches first. Take out what the problem is on the outside. Jeffrey Lurie is going to want to talk to some of these players and what their thoughts are before he gets into a big decision of what to do. And from what I could tell right now is that Nick Sirianni is not going to have a job. I would be shocked if he's on this roster next year. I'd be completely shocked. There's going to be no Brian Johnson. He's already going to be on his third fucking interview because everybody around the league knows how Nick Sirianni runs things. I'm not going to flip out on this video and just be like veins popping out of my neck because this is what I kind of expected. Of course, I was mad during the stream of how they were playing, and I just didn't want them to. I just didn't want them to embarrass themselves even more than what they've been doing the last 6 weeks. To be on a primetime playoff game, the last game of Wild Card Weekend, was probably one of the worst things the league did. Maybe it did us a favor at the end of the day. I don't know. The way they are coached from the offseason to how they treat the preseason to now going into defensively to how they go into these football games. Jalen Carter, nowhere to be seen. Jordan Davis, nowhere to be seen. Hassan Reddick, he got a couple pressures at times. Still put Josh Sweat in pass coverage. Still put Hassan Reddick, your best pass rusher, in pass coverage. Okay? It's a complete problem, and the coaches have to be evaluated, no doubt. And you're not going into next year with Nick Sirianni claiming another year as a head coach with a locker room that is just going to be tired of him at that point. Okay, so I'm not going to go into who they should hire or whatever the case may be with that. We're going to get an end of the year press conference with Howie Roseman probably the next day or two, and we're going to hear we're going to hear a lot of PR bullshit statements, but we're going to find out, like what direction are we going to go into now. Nick, just I feel like between quarterback to head coach, there is a non-jointed relationship right now between those two. You had Dallas Goedert fucking fighting with Jalen Hurts on the sideline, kind of said something to him, and Jalen Hurts just sat there. There's just the players are starting to go back and forth now, and that's even worse. It's even worse at this point. Okay, I know the players that have succeeded in this offense, and they deserve. They don't. I don't blame them for not even showing up or even talking to the media or not talking to the team or not talking to the ownership or the front office or whatever the case may be with it. Okay. Um, it's stressful. I'm honestly really glad it's over. I'm glad it's over because they don't, even if they won this game, just say, sorry to say, but they weren't making it far. They weren't making it far. So call out my fandom, call out anything. Okay. I was really excited today. This playoff game was exciting to me. I got ready for it and I was like, whatever happens, happens. If it's not a pretty game and they still win, it's what it is. But if it's that ugly, I mean, 3 field goals. I mean, seriously. I mean, that's all you did. I mean, 3 field goals. I mean, that's all you had. 9 points. They couldn't convert a third down until the later in the game, at the end of the game. I mean, it's that bad. You can't even convert fucking 3rd and 2 throwing a deep shot. Where was Quez Watkins? What happened to him answering the call this week? It's a bunch of bullshit. They don't know. This coaching staff doesn't know how to scheme, and they've set up every player for failure, including Jalen Hurts. Okay? Jalen Hurts isn't going anywhere. Howie Roseman is not going anywhere. Jeffrey Lurie is definitely not going anywhere. So that's what you're stuck with. And the philosophy of how they hire, of how they draft, of how they, do certain things have got to change for the rest of eternity, because you keep going on like this, it is not going to change. Why is it every ex-coach that we have this team is successful elsewhere? Why is every player that leaves this roster goes somewhere else is successful elsewhere? It's starting to show that these coaches are getting in their own way, and they're setting up these players for the biggest downfall of their careers, not even helping them, not even being able to hold on to their trust at this point, and it's really showing, really showing. So I was just glad that we could get this whole thing over with because I couldn't take it anymore. From a practice standpoint, from how they practice and how the tackling was this fucking bad. I mean, it's bad. The worst tackler I've seen is James Bradbury, where 9 out of 10 times open field tackle where the guy just catches the ball, you wrap your hands around and still can't tackle somebody. I don't know. I think they only blitzed maybe 3 times in this game. I mean, even when the Eagles blitz, which they have been doing some points all year, they don't know how to blitz. They don't know how to be aggressive. Corners are sitting there playing zone. You're letting guys off the line get in open space, and nobody's even covering. I don't know what that even is. I mean, that's how it's been. It's the soft zone coverage that we absolutely can't stand. And you don't have the players to play aggressive. You're not, and especially if they're gonna play soft. If you're coach soft at practice, you're gonna play soft in football games, and it's gonna result in losses, just like this playoff game was. Eagles were only in like maybe a one possession game for a while because the defense was getting a couple stops and the offense just couldn't get anything done. Okay. I mean, the overuse of Kenneth Gainwell, still to this fucking day, I don't get it. They use him on motion and throw to him on the sideline. I mean, it's absolutely disgraceful. So I have to evaluate the coaching staff, and I want everybody gone. This is very salvageable. It's going to be a crazy offseason, there's no doubt, but it's salvageable. Like, you still got a very good roster offensively. You have a top 3 roster. Put it in somebody's hands that has a little bit of control. You got to give some of it up. Because if you don't, you need a head coach that can call an offense, that can call a defense. I don't even care at this point. And then defensive coordinator-wise, it's got to change dramatically. I don't know what's talked about every week in these meetings behind the scenes. Are the players and the coach, are they even having meetings with the players? Are they just going over tape of what they did wrong and then they're just lining up and playing at practice all week? I mean, the players can only control so much of what happens. I like how the players hype themselves up all week and they get really excited. And then they get into a fucking football game when things are going down the shit, and it's too late by that point. And the players have already checked out, have given up, and it's done. So not only have you turned this team into a team that looks like they can never win anything at this point, but you've turned this team into an off-season disaster to where now you're at an early process. They can't wait long. You know what I mean? You have to wait at this point. See what you have and go out and go hire whatever you want, to make this thing work. I wish I can't be this pissed off. I'm a little pissed because they completely went on national television yet again, especially in a playoff game, and really embarrassed themselves. Like I said, it's an ego thing. It's a cockiness. It's an arrogance from Nick Sirianni, and I can't believe it. He seems this evil, like he would be like this non-jointed with his players. It just makes no sense. But 2021 is starting to show that, yeah, it's Nick Sirianni's playbook and Shane Steichen. I mean, you don't even use plays from last year to kind of help your quarterback out. Like, what makes Jaylen Herz great? And I think the number one thing that happened to Jaylen Herz this year, which didn't really help the team in general, was him getting hit so much beginning of the season between all these QB draws and keeping the ball in Jaylen Hurts' hands for so long at this point. I mean, you're going to have a quarterback that's not healthy all year. Okay? There's lack of urgency, lack of effort. I mean, it goes down the line. I'm so mentally drained right now. I can't even fathom what's going to happen this offseason. It's going to be so busy, and I don't want this to eat up anybody. Like for the fans that wanted this thing to end quickly, well, they got their wish. And I might have gotten my wish because I'm not really that upset they lost because they really didn't deserve it. They got this when they were speeding by teams and Hertz was playing at a high level in the second half of games and giving us 5 heart attacks every game that the Eagles were playing this year. But like I said, like the defensive roster needs a tune-up. The coaches need a tune-up, and the offense is actually perfect the way it is. And obviously, adding more players, like a number 3 receiver or another running back. What a waste for DeAndre Swift. I mean, it's literally a crime that he just hit over 1,000 yards the second to last game of the season. First 1,000 yards in his career. And still 9 fucking carries. Kenneth Gainwell in motion, you throw to him. I mean, I don't get what they see in the pass blocking. I mean, especially from these running backs, especially from Gainwell. And everyone says he's the best pass blocker. I don't get it, man. And then you're getting blitzed. There's no hot route. There's no slant. There's no intermediate route. Like the middle is wide open. I don't know how these guys are coached. I don't know how you're supposed to be successful in a scheme like this. It makes absolutely no sense. I wish things were different. I wish that they woke up, that at least the coaching staff woke up, at least. But that wasn't the case. And it's been very frustrating the last 6 weeks. I'm almost immune to it at this point. When the team loses a certain amount of games consistently, you almost get used to it. And I hate the feeling. But at the end of the day, you can't take the good without the bad. When things are perfect, they look great. We don't complain about much. But when things take a turn and things go sour a little bit, and we're on not much of a run that we thought we were going to be on, you start to see the real fandom from a lot of people. And that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinions. But the number one thing I'm looking for right now is a complete reevaluation of the coaching staff. And I'm looking for guys to get fired. I don't even care who they hire at this point. It's very early in the process. Nick Sirianni has failed this team. Nick Sirianni set this team up for disaster. One of the biggest crumbles. And I wouldn't doubt that Nick has no answers for it, or he might have said something so stupid it kind of like wanted to cut you out of your own skin. That's how uncomfortable you were when you hear certain things that are happening at press conferences from coaches that literally act like that they're pretty much fired at this point. Jaylen Herz goes into the offense, comes back out, sits on the sideline all by himself. It's just, I think there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that's been going on since really after the Bills to the 49ers. I mean, there's just no fight. There's no fight. There's no energy. There's no like you. What was the last time you saw a hard hit from this team? I mean, that's how bad it is. And every time we would clog up somebody in the backfield for a -3 yards, maybe even -4, -5, it still turns into a 4 or 5 yard gain. And that's the shit I can't stand. I'm watching all these other teams during Wild Card Weekend. I'm like, man, I wish we could play like that. Man, I'm really impressed. I mean, seriously, that's how fucked up it is. That's how bad it is. I can't really say more than that. The season's over. We're gonna get ready. For any rumors that are coming out, there's gonna be a lot of news this week. I wouldn't doubt it. And I'm sorry, Nick, but he's done. There's nowhere for him to go anymore. It's finished. It's over. And Nick barely reacted on the sideline. He was walking up and down the sideline. I mean, even last year there was a difference. At least if Jaylen Herz had a bad series, like Nick and Jaylen would kind of interact, and sometimes Nick would be the tougher coach and kind of give Jaylen Herz, some shit. And I don't even see that this year. I don't see any of that this year. That's how bad it is. I don't know what the next move is, but what I know so far right now is you have to attack this thing from the outside and work your way inside. You cannot skip around and just go to Jaylen Herz and be like, oh, he's just fucking trash. Yes, inaccurate at times. stupid audible calls that are in his favor, which I can't stand sometimes. Just no connect. I mean, the route combination, just everything. Everything. It's a robotic offense run by AI. I mean, pretty much. That's how I feel. It's literally run by that motion, and I'm really starting to fucking believe it at this point. So I just feel like it was a wasted year. You don't become 10-1 and then totally choke it all away. If you're gonna say, hey, the Eagles are gonna be 10-1 and they're only gonna get one more win after that, I would have fucking called you crazy. But this is one of the biggest crumbles I've ever seen, and hopefully there's some changes in the future. I don't know what lies beneath for the Eagles, but I'm not saying nothing about this quarterback, and obviously I will, but I have to look at everything else besides it. The quarterback is the last thing I'm looking at, especially in the early process of the offseason. That's it. So I'm hoping Howie gives up a little bit of control, and I really hope they hire a head coach that's going to call plays, whether it's offense, defense, whatever the case may be, and have a good staff around. And Howie has to fucking let go a little bit. I mean, there's too much room for error now to go into this next year with the same rules and the same yes man, an assistant coach from another team that's going to come here, and a guy we never heard of, and we know it's going to be a bunch of bullshit. We didn't deserve to win this game today. We don't deserve to hold a trophy. We don't deserve to hold a crown. There's no point anymore. I mean, that's where I'm at. And it's just what a waste, man, with a lot of players and a lot of promise, and not great. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And then obviously the season's over, but this channel's not over. We're going to be doing the shakedowns every week. We'll have our normal streams on Mondays and Fridays. We'll have a stream tomorrow. I'll be by myself on tomorrow to talk about the team and your guys' thoughts on everything. And then, strictly just get closer and closer, to free agency, the draft. It's going to get kind of crazy as of right now. And, that's all I got to say, man. I'm upset more for the vets. I'm not shocked they lost this game. I'm just pissed that they really put out that product on national television and made us look even more fucking stupid at this point, and I didn't like it. I didn't like that at all. But there's nothing else, because this is a continuation. Like I said, this isn't something like a new video like, whoa, like look what the Eagles, how did they lose again? No, this is what they've been doing, and it's been pretty embarrassing. So, that's all I got to say. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Appreciate everybody that's been supporting, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes up, false side. Peace out, guys. Peace.